Hello, today we're going to look at how to make an animated carousel as header for responsive and non-responsive projects. The one you can see, as you guess it, is the responsive version running in landscape mode. That we can also see in portrait mode with a smartphone. And for people developing e-learning projects for desktop, here is the non-responsive HTML5 version in a browser. If the animation seems to be jerky, sometimes it's only due to the video recording, so don't worry for that. The carousel animation works well once it is in real browsers and tablets. Now, how this carousel is made up. Let's see that in Captivate. This carousel is made up with 3 pictures representing the 3 different training modules. Picture that I've inserted in a state view in order to be able to animate them one after the other correctly. There are 4 states. And I just give you an overview here, because we'll see in a next step how to make in detail. Then, in order to that this carousel runs in loop, I've created a script using the while action that I put on enter of the slide. Now let's see in detail how to make from scratch, and as it's much easier to create a carousel in a non-responsive project first, I am going to show you how to perform this from a non-responsive project like this one, and afterwards I'll copy the created carousel in a responsive project. You'll see that beginning by a non-responsive project, you'll save a lot of time. Now let's begin by the first step, the preparation of pictures. First, define the number of pictures that your carousel will integrate, and create them. Let's see that with Photoshop from the example I've made. In a first step, I've created these 3 pictures, by applying the following rules. The first rule is that the width of each picture must be exactly the same than the Captivate project. My Captivate project is 1280 pixels wide, so I've created these 3 pictures with the same width, 1280 pixels. If my Captivate project had a width of 1024 pixels, I would have created them with 1024 pixels wide. The second rule is that the height of the pictures must be the same. It's not related to Captivate, but all must be the same height. In my example they all have 336 pixels high. So don't forget to respect these 2 rules where the width of your pictures must be the same than your Captivate project, and their height the same, otherwise your carousel won't work correctly. Once you've created your pictures correctly, identify the picture that will appear first when users load the slide and import it into the Captivate library as it is. In my example it was this one. So I had imported it as it was. Once done, the next step is to use these 3 pictures in order to create 3 new files, where we'll put these pictures in pair according to a logical order. The goal is to make the animation of the carousel into Captivate easier. This is why I've created these 3 other pictures that are in pairs. They are reduced here in order you are able to see them, but their size is twice wider than the original file. That means that they are 2560 pixels wide, because twice 1280 pixels equal 2560 pixels. As you can see, they have been designed in a logical order, the Module 1 and the Module 2, the Module 2 and the Module 3, and the Module 3 followed by the picture of the Module 1 in order to complete the loop. On your side, do the same for your pictures, and if your carousel is also made with 3 pictures, you'll get 4 final pictures ready to be used within Captivate, like in my example, this first one that is alone, and these 3 others which are in pairs. Once you've made that, you are ready to design your carousel with Captivate. So let's see now how to make it. How to create the carousel in Captivate from created and imported pictures. To create a carousel, we need to create a shape first. This is what I am going to do by using this blank slide in order to show you how to make from scratch. It will be better. So I create a rectangle shape. And from the option button, I define its size that's the same than my original pictures. That means 1280 pixels by 336. Then set its position to 0. And make it completely transparent. Once done, I select the State View button and going to take my first picture into the library. That I also set to a 0 position. Then I create a new state. Name it Module 2, enter. And going to take my second picture into the library. That I also set to a 0 position. Then I repeat the same process for the third state. I name this one Module 3, enter. And going to take my third picture. That I set to a 0 position. Last, I create a last state. And do the same for my last picture. Now I have created these 4 states. I am going to animate their pictures. The first state has no need to be animated because it will be static when users load the slide, so I begin by the second state where the picture of the Module 2 will enter. To animate this picture, I need to select it first. Be careful, your whole picture must be selected, otherwise the setup of your animation will be wrong. If you see that It's not good. That means that it's only your state that is selected and not your whole picture. To be sure that your picture is selected, select its second part. Like this. Now it's right. Once done, I am going to the timing menu and select the fly in from right effect from the entrance drop-down menu. The motion path appears on the picture. And in order that the carousel runs correctly, we must follow two rules. The first one is that the beginning of the motion path must be placed on the right-hand side of the first picture. That means here, where its end is currently. To help me to do so, I am going to display a vertical guide on the right-hand side exactly. Then I put the beginning of my motion path over my vertical guide. Once done, the second rule is that the distance between the beginning and the end of the motion path must be the same than the wide of our original picture. That means 1280 pixels. That also means that the end of my motion path must be placed here on the left-hand side, because my picture and Captivate project are 1280 pixels wide. To carry out this, I am going to display a new vertical guide on the left-hand side exactly, and put the end of my motion path over. That it is. The distance between the 2 points is now 1280 pixels as I wished. Now I've set the parameters of my animation. I save them in order to apply them to the other states. On one hand, that will save me a lot of time, and on the other hand, I will be sure that all my animations will be exactly the same. Now I've completed my first animation, I am going to animate the others. I select the next state, its picture. And instead of wasting time by applying an effect and modifying the motion path, I just import the animation I've saved. OK. Perfect. The effect is correctly applied. I am going to do the same thing with the last state. I select its picture and load the effect. OK, perfect. I've finished all my animations. Now I've completed the setup of the carousel within a state view. Let's summarize shortly what I've done. In the normal state, I've put the first picture that will be static when users load the slide. In the second state, I've made the animation where the module 2 will enter. In the third state, the animation where the module 3 will enter. And in the fourth state, the module 1 will enter again when the carousel completes its loop. Now we've finished with this part, I can hide the guides and exit. Here, before going to the next step, that is the writing of the script, I just name my carousel correctly. Okay, let's see now which script we need to animate this carousel. The script we need must be assigned to the slide. So I select the slide, and from the Actions tab, I select Execute Advanced Actions into an Enter drop-down menu. Then I click on the folder where I've already prepared my script. Let's look at it. As you can see, it's a conditional action script that uses the while condition. Below, the line means that the script will run in loop because 1 is equal to 1. Indeed, 1 being always equal to 1, there is no reason that the script stops. Below are defined all the states of my carousel which appear one after the other. First, the normal state, that remains displayed 3 seconds by entering the slide. Then the state where the picture of my module 2 will enter. The picture appears, and remains displayed for 6 seconds. Then the state where the picture of my module 3 will enter. The picture appears, and remains 6 seconds. Last, my module 1 that enters, and as it will be displayed 3 seconds again in the next loop, I've only displayed it here 3 seconds. Then all the actions are repeated indefinitely. It's not a difficult script. You've just need to use the change state of, and delay next actions by actions, and assign them either the name of one of your state, or a duration. Now we've seen how this script was, let's see the result. But before launching a preview, I need to add a transparent button to stop this slide. So I create it. Okay, it's done. I can now launch a preview to see the result. Okay, as you can see, it works perfectly. All the pictures of my state view enter one after the other. So at this step, we've finished to design and to develop this carousel. I've shown you all you need to know to develop an HTML5 carousel as header, that can run for desktop and laptop. But for people who are also interested to know how to make this carousel responsive in order to use it on tablet or smartphone, let's see that now. To make your carousel responsive, you have two solutions. The first one is to save your project as responsive. I show you. I remove my original slide. And save the project as responsive. Automatically we get a project in fluid box mode, that has kept the size of my original project. And if I use the slider, The carousel seems to be responsive and working perfectly. However, in fluid box mode, the animation of the carousel doesn't work perfectly due to the use of the fluid boxes and also to the while advanced action which not seems to work efficiently according to the animations we develop. So if you want a responsive carousel that works 100% in a responsive project, it's better to switch the project in breakpoint mode, like I do. Once done, you can adjust the maximum size of your breakpoint with the same value than your original carousel. Or add a new breakpoint with a new value by adjusting its height if needed. Then to check that it works, launch a preview. And as you can see, it works well, whatever the size. And it is responsive. A second solution consists in inserting the carousel made in non-responsive mode into a responsive project that you've already begun. To do so, open the file of your original carousel. Select your carousel. Copy it. And go and paste it into the responsive project you want. Once done, rename it like its original one in order to keep the same value for the script. Check out its position by adjusting if needed. And regarding the script, reuse the same in order to avoid rewriting it. That's all. This way also works as the previous one. Now we've seen how to make a carousel as header for responsive and non-responsive projects. Let's see some tips and tricks before finishing this video. The first one is about the motion path. When you move it to the left by setting your animation, it's important to let it at the same height, otherwise you'll get a little visual skip at each loop. So if you're not sure to carry out this correctly, don't hesitate to use a horizontal guide to help you in addition to the vertical one I've shown you. The second is that you can add bullets over your carousel in order to show both how many pictures your carousel has, and which one is currently displayed. It's what I had done with my original file by adding over each state. Three bullets that are in colors when the relevant picture is about to appear and will remain on screen for 6 seconds, otherwise they are white. The third is, if you want your users are able to move forward the carousel, you can add buttons over and create a script that will go directly to the relevant created state. In doing so, don't forget to retrieve and add the script of the carousel in order to be able to relaunch this last one correctly. The fourth is that you can change the duration of your animation by setting it to 1 second. It also works well. But don't forget that the durations you define for your delay actions into your script must be logical with the one of your animation, in order to allow it to fully play, otherwise your carousel won't work correctly. Finally, the last one is for people who are just interested in inserting a carousel as a video gallery or image gallery in their project. To do so, they can use the carousel widget located in the Learning Interaction menu. This one doesn't offer a lot of possibilities to customize it as you would want outside a gallery, but it may fit a certain need. This video is now finished. I've showed you a way to make a carousel as header for responsive and non-responsive projects, and for multi-devices. I hope you've learned something and that this video will have given you ideas to create customized carousels according to your projects or customers.